For your materials, you'll need yarn in DK or size 3 weight yarn in the colors white, red, and green. In this video, I used Ricorumi's Nilli, and the color codes are 1, 9, and 19. You'll also need a small amount of finger weight yarn to do the cinching in the face, make the eyes, and the nose. For your tools, you'll need 2 crochet hooks, one in a 3mm and another in a 3.75mm, or also known as an F hook. You'll also need, of course, stitch markers, a blunt needle, fiber fill for stuffing, and scissors. If you'd like to support me, a digital version of this pattern is available for purchase in my shop, which you can find in the description down below. I'm not going to be doing a lot of talking in this video, or at least I'll try. Hey, I'm Colombian. It's hard not to talk so much. I'll place the instructions for each round in the top left-hand corner. And I also wanted to mention that if you struggle working with these yarns, I do have a video in my channel that gives you some tips and suggestions so that you can make these things with these beautiful plushy yarns and not feel like you have to work with the traditional ones. I'll leave a link to that video right here in the top right corner and also in the description. Oh, and one more thing, I will also make timestamps in the description to make it easier for you. Okay, I'll stop talking now. For round 6, you want to work into the front loop only, as I showed you there, and not both loops. For round 8, the only thing to note is that the increases you make here are the cheeks of your bunnies. This will be important when you're centering the eyes later on. When decreasing, I highly recommend that you use an invisible decrease, which basically just means that you're going to work in the front loops only instead of both loops. So just like I'm showing you here. When stuffing your bunny, you can use a wooden stick or even jewelry pliers to help you get that in there. You also want to keep the bottom of the bunny slightly flat and push up the stuffing into the cheeks so they stick out a little more. Once you're done, you can move on to the next round. You can cut your yarn now, making sure to leave a long end. Pull your end and use a blunt needle to go through the front loops only of all of the remaining 8 stitches. Then you'll simply pull and this will close the hole. For the face details, this is where we're going to use our sport weight yarns. You can also use any cotton thread yarn that you want to make the cinching. I used a white color to match the bunny's face. And I'm going to continue by finding my first round, then counting up to round 11, where I'll place my pin above the cheek between round 11 and 12. Once you've placed the first eye, you can count 6 stitches across to place the second eye. Take your needle and thread and insert it from the bottom, in between the stitch, and come out where you placed the first pin. Leave a little bit of a strand at the bottom so you can tie off later. Now you're going to skip 1 stitch when you insert your needle back in. Make sure that you still have 6 stitches in between each eye. So in my case here, I'm going to skip a stitch over to my left. Bring the needle back into the bunny and out from the same place that you came in. So you want to go in through that same gap. This is why a blunt needle will be very handy for this. Now you'll insert your needle back in through that same place you came in from. And you're going to come out from the opposite eye, where you placed your second pin. Before I insert my needle back inside, I'm going to count my stitches again to make sure that I still have 6 stitches in the middle, and I'm going to skip a stitch to my right hand side. Now I'll go back in and out through the bottom in that same hole that I came in from. Now for the fun part, pull both ends and watch how your bunny's face starts to cinch in. Once you're happy with how much cinching you've done, you can take both ends and tie them together a few times, and then you can weave them back inside the bunny. Now we're going to make our eyes by taking a black strand of yarn and forming a circle. In that circle, we're going to wrap our strand a total of 6 times. And once we've done that, we're going to pull both ends and watch a small little knot form in the center. I do have a video tutorial on my YouTube channel that covers this and how you can use this method to replace safety eyes, make noses, and even blush. It's one of my favorite methods to use. You can use your fingers as I'm doing here to make the knot more round, or if you want more oval, try not to press in too hard. I'm going to make my second eye now because I've learned that I want to match them and make sure they're the same size and look before I actually attach them. To attach your eye, you're going to find where you cinched, and again making sure that you have 6 stitches in between. So I'm going to place pins on my my bunny, that way I'm 100% sure I'm putting them in the right place. Insert the first end of your eye where you placed your pin, and you're going to bring that back out through the back. Now you're going to thread the other end of the eye, and you're going to thread it in a diagonal slant rather than horizontal. I mean, this is up to you, but I wanted mine to have the eyes slanted. And then you're going to bring the needle back out in the back and pull until the eye looks how you want it. Before I tie that one off, I'm going to make the second eye just to make sure that I'm happy with both of them and I don't want to make any changes. You can repeat this now for the second eye. Now you can tie the ends securely together and weave them inside your bunny. Now we can move on to making our nose, so we'll take our pink strand of yarn and we're going to mark between rounds 10 and 11, and it's going to be a total of a stitch and a half. That's how wide it's going to be. So I'm going to place my pins there so I can know where to come out from. And the vertical line will be 3 rounds down, coming down from the center of the top of the nose. Insert your hook first through where the bottom vertical line will be, and leave a long end at the bottom. Then you're going to insert it in the center top, come out the left hand side, and now you're going to go over to where your last pin is. For our ears, we're going to mark the space between round 19 and 20 where we're going to attach our ears. Something else you could do to make this easier is to make the cherry top first, as that has gaps in it where the ears will fit in. You can put the cherry on top of the head and then mark with pins where the ears will go. Or you can do it like I'm doing here. To start the first round of the ear, make sure you go inside the second chain from the hook. It might be helpful to mark that first stitch you made for when you come back all the way around and you have to work into that stitch. As you continue to crochet down the chain, just watch that your chain isn't turning and twisting as you're working into it. Now you're going to slip stitch back onto the head in the same space where you attached your yarn. For this next part, you're going to work on the bottom part of the chain. In that first stitch that you marked, you're going to place 3 single crochets. This is what's going to give the ear that round shape at the top. Now you can continue to single crochet in the remaining stitches all the way down to the head and slip stitch back in the same place where you attached your yarn. If you're enjoying this pattern so far, leaving a like or subscribing to the channel would really help me out. That way I can continue to share free patterns with you in the future. For the rest of this pattern, we're going to be working with an F or a 3.75mm hook. The cherry cover is very similar to the bunny's head, so I'm just going to place the instructions in the top left-hand corner here and I won't waste your time showing you every step this time. Now that we've finished with round 10, I placed the cherry on the bunny's head, and I'm going to crochet the rest of it with it on, just to make sure that my tension is just right and I'm not making it too tight or too loose. Make sure your starting stitch is at the center bottom, so after you crochet 15 stitches, you reach the first ear. Place your chain around the ear, and then make sure that you skip 2 stitches before you crochet again in the 2 stitches that are going to go between the ears. I would recommend removing your cherry cover off so that you can weave in your end. Now go ahead and make your second bunny before proceeding to the next part. Before you make your chains, be sure to leave a long starting end, which you'll use later to sew to the top of one of your bunny's heads. As you sew onto the bunny's cherry top, just remember that if you sew onto the head itself, then the cherries will no longer be removable. And you're done! You can hang these in your car or by your door. If you like this pattern, leave a like below and subscribe to the channel for more free patterns in the future.